brought some stuff home with them, some cheese and stuff like that. They threw it down on the kitchen table. It was about 9 o'clock when they came in. And Frances began to get her knife out and start cutting off because they're going to have cheese and they're going to play cards. And Frances said, "Did you bring a pistol in?" And Brady said, "Oh, yeah, we haven't had to use it for a long time now, you know." So anyway, but they sit themselves down. Each of them had a beer. About that time, they heard something at the. Okay, this was the house up here, and they had these long windows, and the living room had this long window, and they were sitting in the kitchen. This kitchen was the one that Dad had built on, and big, big, big kitchen. And in the middle of this kitchen, Mom had a big, big family dinner house or dinner thing. And over here on this wall, on this side here, looking out over this way, she had two double windows.
On this side here?
Mm-hmm. Every morning when she washed the dishes, she could tell anything got out, anything got in. She always had to keep them. Anyway, they heard something in the living room. Now, they was brave up till then. And they heard this thing kind of like a snorting.
Okay.
And so Louise grabbed her gun. And Frances, she went panic pretty bad. And about that time, they was convinced it was somebody from the state home.
They talked themselves into that.
Yeah.
So in Winfield, there used to be an insane asylum, a state home, where crazy people were locked up.
Yeah, well, I don't like to say that too well because.
It was. Not this family.
Yeah. And so anyway, they oohed and awed about who could it be. They had heard tell maybe 15 years ago, 6 people had escaped from there, and maybe 2 days ago somebody had. Anybody had this story all made up in their minds by that time. And so they didn't know what to do. The car's sitting out here. Now the fence is right there along that place right back there. And Louise's car is sitting over there. Frances' car is sitting down here. But that's okay. They're going to go in Louise's car because she can drive a little faster. And the back fence come almost over there. Damon and I had brought that cupboard that's in now. Okay. They first they heard one thing, then they heard something else, and every time they heard it was a little bit. All of a sudden, Louise screamed bloody murder. She's not a screamer, but she saw a black face in this long window in the front room. Now they had every light in the house on, so here was Frances, hold Louise like this, you know. What'd you see? What'd you see? What'd you see? Huh? What'd you see? Louise said, "I saw a black face, a long black face in that window there." And so Louise grabbed her gun, and oh my goodness, sakes alive, and they grabbed the door and they shut the door. And so pretty about that time, they heard right here at this window, looking out to the west, they saw this figure. And they thought it must be that same figure. Oh, he's a big one. I mean, he was a big, big man. So they trying to figure out how to get him out of the house. If he's over here, figure him out that door. Louise grabbed a hold of the door real fast, like Frances jump in, Louise jump in. No. Frances get herself in the back seat. That's what she would. She only wait for Louise. And then she'd crawl over the seat. Okay, I got this. This has gone on now for several hours. I mean, this wasn't early. It was getting about midnight. And Louise picked up her pistol. Now, they had the window open about like that. And I'll be darned if she didn't shoot that pistol and went right through that window. And whatever's out there let out a scream. And Louise thought sure she killed it. Louise said, run, Frances, run. Frances ran out that kitchen door, jumped in the back seat. Louise jumped in the front seat, started the car up. Frances shot, trying to get herself straightened up so she could crawl over the seat. And Louise shot north. Now, to this day, I don't know how she went between that garage out there and that, but she did. Somehow she did. Out there, circled around like that. She had a Buick at that time. I mean, she was throwing sand everywhere, you know. And back through that gate she came and following down there. They all talked about it. They had talked about, if we can just get up to Virginia's, it'd be okay. Well, I guess they drove like mad. They got to our place. As they drove in our driveway, they started honking. So we all, of course, we got up real fast like. And, oh my goodness, they come to the door and, blah, 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 blah. You know how they are anyway. They were just mouth running. And so we got, okay, oh my, they got somebody down at the farm. Well, we get the pickup out and away we go. And the kids all in there, and they went back in their car going with us. And we got down here, and, probably 2 o'clock about that time. And we looked around and didn't see anybody dead body out there. We were sure she'd shot somebody. And we didn't see any dead body over there by the other window. And we certainly didn't see a big black man. We were sure he's over 7 foot tall. And so Louise, well, she knew. She knew she'd shot somebody, and she knew that went through that window I had. The screen. Window's up here. That's the ledge. Nobody's going through there. She wasn't the best shot in the world, but that's where she went. And they finally looked around, and Damien says, Virginia, I think it was the horses.
You had a black horse. You had a black horse, and they had hooves around there, didn't they? They had like hoof prints.
We went out with a flashlight, and all those windows had hoofs, you know. And I think when they shot through that window, it scared him. I think he screamed. This was one of our horses that loved to be wherever we were at.
She didn't hit it?
Nope.
She didn't hit it.
That's good.
How about Amy got to beat it out to miss a horse?
Go back
So-
to the sane asylum. Now, how old was you when you used to? They had a movie theater in town that you go to for a dime, but you could go to the sane asylum and watch the movie with them guys for free.
Yeah.
So that's where you go.
Yeah. I assumed you wouldn't tell us, but might have got me mixed up somewhere. But
My dad had an interesting sense of humor, but we hardly ever went out that into town that he wouldn't turn and go right down through the middle of that damn state asylum.
yeah.
Just to scare the hell out of the kids in the back seats. It's
Yep.
like, yeah, check out, look around, look at that, look over there, see that guy? Look at there, see that guy? And out the other side we go, it's like, gee, really? So we gotta go through this state asylum every time we go through here.
And get home and it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the story on Louise and Francis, and they swore us, don't tell anybody. You know. Francis, they'll think we're crazy. I said, well, you are, Francis. Well, anyway.
So, Mom, this new generation has chickens now. So tell us about Grandma and her chickens. Because I'm sure it's different now than what...
How many a year did she get?
Well, she got around 5,000, but she got them at different, you know, she get like a week apart. She bought them 2 days old. She was really fixed up nice.
And right over here you'll see a foundation right in there, and that's where the old chicken house was. There was a great big chicken house in there.
Mm-hmm.
And where was it at? Because I don't know, because I was young too.
I'll show you here in a little bit. There's a foundation over there.
Okay.
And he had a great big, what'd you call them? Okay, the Hoovers or something like that the chicken stayed under.
Brooders?
No. Anyway, it's just
You
for
have a light in there, you know, and they could get underneath and it'd be one warm spot.
and
You ever had any snakes in there when you got it?
Nope.
Never not a snake, huh?
nope.
What'd Grandma do with
She
all her
had
chicken?
mean geese, though. Those geese would chase us, honk
Yep.
at us, and we'd run.
Fall
One time-
down.
One time we pulled in, and us 4 kids were in the back of the pickup, of course. And we got out of the back of the pickup, and there was this huge snake. That was a ravine right there. There was a huge snake laying down there, and it had a belly about this big. And so we were looking at it, and Grandma come out, and she's like, "Oh my God, that snake's eating my goose egg, whatever it was." She went and got the shovel, and she chopped that in half. I don't know if she was going to save the goose egg or not by that time. And it turned out to be a great big frog. You remember?
Lavina wasn't the best horse rider in the world.
Yeah, Mom, tell her about the horses and Lavina riding.
Was it the Gaxons that came up the road that time? Gatson got out and got on the horse behind Levina, I'm pretty sure.
Why? Why?
Oh, there's no telling why. But about the time they got up there, and I don't who was riding with you, I don't know. But the horse got tangled up in a piece of wire or something went astray. And you and the horse took off like a bat out of hell, and whoever's on the back was just screaming, hanging on, right back down the lane and right down through here.
Well, and that chicken coop, Dad gutted, and so it was like a lean-to kind of thing, and had a board there.
No, it
And-
was the barn. The barn had a
The
it
barn,
was too short for you.
yes, it hit me right in the forehead because I didn't duck.
Yeah.
But then, so the next time when that horse came up and went to that, what was the chicken coop, I put my head down because I got smarter, but I didn't put it over to the side. I put my forehead on the saddle horn, and I got stuck between the saddle horn and the rafters. And we had to go to we went to the emergency room 6 weekends in a row one summer.
Yeah, we sure
Pretty
did.
well, I always went to the emergency room. That was pretty well our end of the weekend.
Is
going to the emergency
is
room.
that the weekend that was
Well,
one of those whenever I got the corn stalk in my eye?
She got a corn stalk in her knee. I don't remember.
Her eye
Remember,
fell down here.
you and I were that we had that silver trailer that went behind the tractor, and we would jump off and we would run. We'd wait and then run and jump on and jump off. And I fell and got a corn stalk in my eye because you guys
Yes.
took me to the eye doctor in Winfield.
Mhm. And
It was one of the 6 times, or was that an odd time?
It was an ongoing thing.
And it didn't want to take care of me because it sounds to me like in all these stories, I'm just wandering around.
We were down at the river, and I don't know what everybody was doing. People were busy, and we see this little blonde head bobbing by in the river. And I was closest. They're like, grab her! So I grabbed her and saved her.
Saved my life.
It was you?
And I go, well, that's some
It was her.
that's
She was
some
just a toddler.
bad parenting, in my opinion.
The fight would have been one of those things. Stand up. Stand up.
I'm glad you caught me, Vina.
I did.
I love you.
saved your life.
Do you remember when Mike Gatson ran that stick between his toes? Used to be bobbers. And
Yeah, listen,
the
I
old
forgot
bobbers
this
had
story.
A little wooden stick on them. That's the way they were, you know. And so we was all running down a sandbank over here on the river, and he ran that baby right between his big toe and his next toe, and it was sticking about half out, half in. And so there was Dad and Andy Gatson, and Andy Gatson going, well, we need to go to the hospital. My dad's like, we need to pull that damn thing out. Andy Gatson going, you ain't pulling that out. That's what you need to do, pull that out. Well, they both looked at each other kind of like, well, what are we going to do here? Andy Gatson goes, we ain't pulling it out. So away they went to the
Didn't
hospital.
he threaten him?
My dad was bound determined he was going to pull that stick out between his toes and get that out of there.
They got to the hospital, and the doctor looked at it, pulled it out, and said, you could have done this yourself.
Danielle, that's kind of a story.
if
That's
you hadn't been such a coward.
When
Mom
the
and
house
I-
was there, we'd come down, and the first thing we'd always do, my dad would be always the first one to go on the porch, and the porch was on the rock, and there was always a great big snake in there. Always. And my dad would grab it by the tail and spin it. And out the door he'd come. I'd be holding the door open. Out he'd come with a 6-foot snake or whatever long it was. And then you would start looking for a stick or a log or something, and ba 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 ba. Do it. That's the way I was learning to kill snakes from that tall. So. And it's one of those kind of things, I've done it many times, but it's one of those things, okay, like this is a snake's tail. You gotta think about it. And there's no, "Ooh, I don't think I wanna do it." Once you do it, you gotta do it. You grab that snake and you go fast. And then you ain't gotta worry about it. You feel so cocky once you get it up here. And its head spinning. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't bad. But that one moment when you're getting ready to grab it was that moment of, you gotta just do it or not do it. What are you gonna do?
That was definitely passed on. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
appreciate
You've
that.
seen that
Dad
many times,
was
haven't
with
you?
us one time when
Stay for
Debbie,
that reason.
right when we were heading in the back porch,
You and Debbie?
Debbie, well, Mom must have gone ahead of us. I know Aunt Louise was there, and Debbie stepped up and froze. And her eyes were this big, and everybody saw, and they knew that there was a snake there. And so Aunt Louise got her gun and chased her all the way around shooting at the foundation of the house as that snake
Yeah.
was trying to get away from her. And she shot, and I'm surprised ricochets didn't kill us all.
I am too. That same thing down there at the lake that time.
So didn't we have a little
Hey.
didn't we have a little trailer right here, a little one
Yeah.
that we stayed into that was like more for our family? Like
Yeah.
wasn't there a little one here too?
Little silver,
And then wasn't there I know we had a gunny sack swing.
it was on the other side. It was right there where the drive was.
Sure did.
And there was
Probably was
wasn't there a
full of
swing over there too? Or not?
Yeah, I built a real weird cable ride. Remember one time, all
Oh.
the way from trees to trees down through there, and it was, all I had was a bunch of old junk rope. So you'd ride on it and hope like hell the rope didn't break, and then the rope, I tied another knot, we'd go again, until finally we had to move on with that project because I didn't have enough rope. And I had a great big thing Dad got from work. So anytime the rope broke, you'd hit the ground, and then this thing would hit the ground right beside you. So we're lucky we made through that whole project. Then I put it up there in the yard at the house on the south side between those two trees.
Yeah.
I remember 'cause I used to I'd get home as fast as I could, and then when the bus come by, me and Tim would try to ride from tree to tree as the bus went by to show off to the kids on the bus. Right there outside your window.
Mom was quite a horsewoman, and we've all heard the stories about how she had herded cattle across. But we had this horse. The horse did not like me, and it was personal. And Mom gets on that horse. She leaps up there, and she's like, "Come on, Levina, let's ride." I'm like, "Mama, lady doesn't like to ride double." She's like, "Lady is not the boss here. I'm the boss here. Get up here. We're going to teach her how to ride double." And so it started bucking about that first terrace, and bucked and bucked and bucked and bucked until finally I went clear over Mom's head and down on my back, lost my wind, couldn't get and I got Mom's like, "Get back up here." "I'm not getting up there, Mama." "Come on, get back up here. We're gonna get back." "I'm not getting up there, Mama. I'm not getting up there." And I walked back to the house.
Yeah, you did.
We're gonna teach her to ride double.
Yep.
Now, Grandma, did you guys used to drive cattle across the river? Is that what you told me?
In Winfield.
In Winfield.
I'm
The
going the wrong way, but
Walnut, yeah, the
Yeah.
Walnut River.
You take across the Walnut?
You and your dad?
19th Street.
And sometimes
No,
it was
no.
flooded so bad. It was flooded real bad. It's the reason you couldn't go across the bridge. You had to not.
Mhm.
It was in the.
They didn't have to make that bridge coming out west high enough to drive the cattle across. So we went south, and that's on 77. Right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Go across on 77,
Yeah.
then hit the dirt roads.
Yeah. And then come back off the dirt roads up by the cemetery and on out that way. This one year, I said, well, I take the lead. And so you rode your horse out, and then the whole head cattle kind of followed you. And the water was deep enough where I went across the bottoms of my boot. I touched the water.
Oh my gosh.
How far'd you go? You went to Eastern Kansas, didn't you?
Went over in the Flint Hills. No, we went about 10 miles the other side of Winfield.
That where the Chet's place is, right in there. What'd you call that? Was what place?
Thompson Place,
Thompson Place.
Thompson Ranch. We lived there for
Yep.
21 years, I think.
It is about 10 miles outside of Winfield, almost directly in line with where we're at.
So was you born around here, Mom? You were born over here, weren't you? Is that right?
I was born over in Thompson Ranch,
Thompson. And where was that at? That way?
east.
Okay.
East of Winfield, about 10 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So what Annie was just saying, almost 20 miles straight east to here, where we're sitting, is about where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they didn't have fences down here, so she'd just take the cattle down there and just sit all day long on a horse, reading a book, and kept an eye on the cattle. Now, can you imagine? You've seen our cattle scattered all over the world, and we didn't have. You should leave a gate open when chasing cows. But they didn't even have a fence. They just actually she'd sit there all day
And they, yeah,
bring them back at night.
that was my job.
Sitting on the horse all day.
Yeah. I sit back on his rump, and he'd eat. My rump would move, same time his would. Then all of a sudden he'd pick up the rump and kind of kick at something. Sometimes I fell off.
You know where Oxford is, so we're about 3 miles from Oxford. And she went to school over there, or did you, when you babysitted for them people?
No, I went to school there. Folks would get me in over there, and this is Cali County here, and that's Sumner County over there. So, but back in those days, you kind of do whatever you wanted to do. I rode the horse over there, and I was in the 9th grade, and somebody had a garage, and he let Dad have the garage.
You know
Walking
where
out
the
there.
cemetery is up here?
Mhm.
Now that's where you first went to school, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
The cemetery used to be a school right there by that old cemetery. And she'd ride from here to the cemetery and put her horse in a barn. And that's where you fell with your horse on the ice, isn't it? Somewhere between
Yep.
here and there?
Yeah, correct.
Tony?
Yep. Wasn't his fault, mine, but
Either way, both of you went down.
yep, and he kind of slid. Kind of hurt. Folks had gone to Illinois because
When your
Grandma
parents
was.
gone? Was you here by yourself at that time, or
Yes,
13 years old?
yeah. Mom and Dad, Grandma had turned bad. They took her to the hospital. And Mom and Dad got up early that morning and they left. And so I was going back next couple of days, and so that's what happened. First time of that. And of course I was chasing the cattle without any boots on, nor saddle. I was bareback
And no
And-
boots.
Huh?
And no boots, huh?
and no boots. So skinny up a
So
little bit.
about riding Tony to school.
My horse was the smartest horse in the world. He'd go forward, but he didn't want to go backwards. And this bridge down here, this kind of broken down bridge, that all you hear when you go across is hoof prints. And I'd ride that way going to school, Oxford. He'd come to that bridge and he would not. Now there wasn't no getting him across there. And I was just as stubborn as he was. I wasn't going to get off and lead him across there. So I'd turn him, after we had so many fights, I would turn him around and back him all the way across there. I made my point, he made his.
But didn't he have a little better attitude when you guys would come home in the dark?
Oh yeah, he didn't bother him at all across those bridges. No, that was a pretty smart horse.
And it's pretty dark down here when it's dark, ain't it?
He is
Mark said
really
there were
dark.
A few times she'd get a little bit spooked coming down that bottom road, just or in the middle of the night and dark.
Dark. I was kind of like Louise Francis. I really wasn't the bravest person.
But you got at night when they both of you a little scared. You didn't have no problem going across that bridge.
Nope. Nope.
What years were these?
Huh?
What years?
What years?
Years.
Well, I was born in 34. So,
You moved here in 9 years old.
I was born over
43.
there in that ranch house upstairs. My aunt delivered me. And
Oh, not sure if it was 5 minutes before midnight or 5 minutes after midnight. So
Yeah.
there really is a little bit of exactly what her birthday it is.
yeah,
Oh, really?
old Doc said, well, she's not going to have this until tomorrow. I'll be out in the morning. Have the coffee on. Well, Aunt Vide said she's going to have this baby tonight. I was born at night, but they forgot to look at the clock. And that was a big deal for them.
What I was talking about is riding the horse to school and you walking home.
Oh, yeah, my horse is smart. Because sometimes I'd go to the school up here, I'd go right up here. Open up that gate, go to the next one. I'd wave to them, go across their yard, go to school. Well, Tony knew if I went that way, I had to come home that way. And about 3 times a week, I had to walk home because he had his own way of getting loose. And sometimes you go out and catch him just before he got out of the barn, and he bridle me all down here like this, and you catch him. Most times, though, he left the bridle there and just got out of there and came home. Now, if you went down the highway, that's the way you went home. If you came this way, I'd find him up there at the gate.
Guess he couldn't get the gate open.
He wasn't smart enough to get the gate open, but he turned around and looked at me. Yeah.
Obviously, your dad had about the same attitude you did. And tell him the story about when the cattle got out and the neighbor over here had Grandpa's cattle.
Yeah,
Right after.
Dad was a gentle person, but you get him mad, and oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to stand in front of him. And so, I'm coming home from Saturday, and Dad said, "Well, by God, those are my cattle." Oh, darn. Dad didn't like his cattle to be out, so we buzzed on home, and he says, "Jim, you get out, get that horse. Meet me over there. I'm going to go back and apologize and get the cattle moved." It must have been, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 head. They wasn't all of them, it was just a portion of them. So I got over there, and Dad was coming in right behind me. On down the. So the guy came out to the door. I said hello to him. Very nice, you know. Didn't expect anything. Dad got himself up there, and he told him how sorry he was that the cattle had gotten out, and if he fixed any fence, it'd be on, so on and so forth. The guy kind of cleared his throat a couple times, and well, Mr. Andes, I think you owe me some money, because I went to all the work to put your cattle in the fence and give them hay. And Dad stood there for about, I bet you 5 minutes. And he said a few cuss words. And he said, "You're going to charge me, a neighbor? You're going to charge a neighbor? Well, you son of a bitch. There's my hat. Just step on that. You step on that hat, and I'll whip you all over this place." The guy said, "Well, Mr. Andes, it wasn't worth all that." Well, it was to me, and that poor guy backed up, said, "Take your cattle and get out of there." Dad said, "Open up that gate, Jen, and get those cattle out of here. And don't you ever touch my cattle again." Well, I just get them off the road. Don't just leave them on the road.
I guess you couldn't whip him for charging for cattle, but if you step on my hat, I'm going to whip you.
I know.
Kind of to that point, damn it, I want to whip your ass, but you got to step on my hat to get me to whip your ass.
Dad always wore a Stetson, and it was usually gray. When he threw that down, step on it. Just, come on, step on it. You just dare step on it. Dad, I think I'll get the cattle out. Oh, that was. And the guy didn't step on it either. Dad would have picked up anybody's cattle anywhere, and have probably gone all over the neighborhood saying, "Use your cattle out." Wouldn't have charged them. Wouldn't even think about charging them. Dad, he couldn't believe it. Yeah. Then along came Susie, and she didn't much like to ride a horse, but she wasn't penny-waist like Lavina.
Thank you.
It was a mean horse.
Oh, he wasn't a mean. He just didn't like to carry two. Looked down the road one time, and Debbie and Lavina was on the horse, and they was galloping or trotting.
Trotting.
And here they went.
And they're going off the horse.
Yeah. Every trot the horse made, well, they's going over. Both of them going the same way.
I'm sure Debbie was pulling Lavina off. I'm sure that's
Oh,
what happened.
sure.
Right, Lavina?
Yes. That horse had it in it.
Well, you
That
said,
horse, though, with Debbie on it, and Debbie was a much better horse person than me. Of course, everybody's a better horse person than me. But every time we'd go down and cross the creek, that horse would lay down and roll with her
Yeah,
in the water.
yeah.
She
Yep.
managed it, but I'd get off and let her take the horse across the creek, and then I'd meet her on the other side.
Less wet.
You probably wouldn't have been on there to start with.
But it got down and tried to get her off there every time.
so
That little Shetland pony that was a piece
Oh
of
my
crap.
God! That
Oh, mean. That's the one, mean.
And the girls would ride the horse, and a lot of times the weeds would be terrible around here. And so they take off on the horses, and my Shetland pony just be going as fast as it could trying to chase it. You know, and it liked to keep its head right down against the ground. So one time, and they were way ahead of me, and the frickin' pony was running as hard as it could, and I kept sliding down its neck. And so now I'm trying to push myself back up, sliding down that neck, and it had no determined, you know. And about that time, I remember looking him in the eye as I went over his head and right down between his legs, and kicked me on the way through. It's like just took off chasing the girls. Like, gee, man, Moses. But
that Shetland pony would run you down the hedgerow.
yeah, it knew every limb that was a half inch taller than its spine, and it just dragged everybody off.
right, Martin?
That was the same one that bit Louise on the rear end, wasn't it?
About one of them after the paint horse died. Yeah, he didn't stick around very long.
As hard as could be. It was a mean ass Shetland pony.
Ponies are the devil.
They are. We had a Welsh one time when Dad was young, and it was a nice pony. It was, compared to a Shetland pony, it was a whole different animal.
Wiltshire, yeah, goodbye pony.
We had a really nice garden. I mean, a big garden. We had a bunch of potatoes there, and then we all got to make money. We went around the neighborhood up at home selling potatoes for 5 cents a pound, and we got to keep the money, and we'd take it around the wagon. But anyway, we had a great garden down here, and it had electric fence around it to keep the horses and stuff out of it. And Susie was toddling again,
Unsupervised.
and she went up and she grabbed that electric fence, and she couldn't let go of it. And Uncle Don ran up and put his knee against the fence right between her hands and broke the.
Do I seem like I was unsupervised? Pretty much unsupervised.
Well, the creek was flooding one time down here, and it was all rocks, and we didn't even have a concrete bridge. And so Dad and Laurie went across, and for some unbelievable reasons, I'm helping Susie across the goddamn flooded creek, and the neighbor there had electric fence right along the edge of the damn thing. And I had your hand, and you grabbed that damn electric fence, and we both knee deep in rushing water, lit my frickin'
Man, this makes a lot of sense right now. There's a lot of stuff coming to light.
Yeah.
I was unsupervised. That's all. If Andy was my supervisor, we were in trouble.
Yeah, you, a lot.
Explains your need for attention to
I guess.
Sometimes the Vanderhoof kids, Uncle John's 4 kids were about the same age as us. John, Beverly, Mike, and Jeff. And they'd come down and we'd all, and I don't know how they talked us into stuff. And so we were all holding hands. Whoever's on this end had to put their hand in the horse tank, and then whoever's on this end was going to touch the electric wire. And we did.
I don't know how they talked us into stuff. I'm like, pretty easily, it sounds like. I haven't met any of us.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's nice. Is everybody getting hungry?
We start some hot dogs now?
Yes, let's do that.
Moving my heat.
Anybody else got a story to tell?
Anybody got any stories? We're
And we
good?
can keep doing it.